now that we've completed section 1, Formula 1, we're going to move to the triangles. And I suggest starting in the back and then working your way to the front so you're not getting in your own way with the foils. We're going to start off with our first triangle. And you want to make sure you work on a diagonal rather than horizontally, just to kind of avoid creating a harsh line when this falls. We're going to drop down our first section. I'm going to make sure it's about 1/4 of an inch section, proper saturation. Put that out of our way. I'm going to grab a foil. Now, in the foil, we're going to take our Formula 1 and put it at zone 1, just a little bit. Then taking Formula 2, I'm going to paint it on. And then once we get to where we're going to meet zone 1, we're just going to kind of marry the two to soften that line even more. Make sure it's good, saturated. And we're going to take our next foil and just kind of lay it right above. Done. Take our next foil and just start it right above that part line. And the reason I'm using foils is just to keep the two formulas isolated, these two sections, so we don't mix those two formulas and create a second effect that we don't want. And it also keeps it visually interesting to others in the salon, kind of catches people's attention. And it also just helps keep you neat. Now I'm just working with back-to-back foils. You can also bring down a couple sections at a time and then put a new foil on, whatever you like. Now the reason why I'm putting Formula 1 at the top of the foil instead of just painting on Formula 2 from zone 1 to zone 3 is to help with the low maintenance side of this. This is not something that they're going to have to get touched up every 4 to 6 weeks whenever they come in for their new growth. This is a pattern that is going to last with them because we're diffusing this line. It's not going to be a harsh line of demarcation. And the placement of it as well helps with the low maintenance. You're not going to be able to see where it's growing out from. And you can take, if you're feeling creative, take Formula 1 a little bit further down on zone 1. So kind of creates a little bit different effect on the hair strand. Now if you were to be doing this with just a refresh, you would just take 2 different refresh formulas in shades EQ and just part the hair off like we just did at the very beginning and refresh it as you go. You wouldn't need foils for that. All right, now that we have completed that section, we're just going to lock the foils in so they don't slip. You can just do that by taking them out and just kind of folding those. Kind of get those out of your way. Just kind of get them all together. I just like to do one kind of quick fold at the end. Okay. Now depending, we can just switch sides. I'm going to start on this side. Okay, now we're going to work on the side triangle. And I'm going to work my way back. So I'm going to start here, but again, always keeping with a diagonal. So let's drop our first section down. Now you can see why it would be best to start in the back, because the back foils aren't really hindering us getting in the way. They're just laying right on top of each other. And since we locked those back ones in, we're not worried about them sliding. I'm going to lift this up, support, marry those 2 together, place your foil on top. I'm not really worried about at zone 1, the formula getting out of the foil, since it's going to be all the same color. So I'm not necessarily worried about bleeding in this pattern. Again, the foils are just to help us stay a little neater with our application and also to keep it visually interesting. And it's important to keep it visually interesting because it kind of helps catch people's eye in the salon that maybe are looking for a change, and if they see something different, thing 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 different color, 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 and color. With this section, drop it down. And again, working on a diagonal. And with this, I'm going to bring Formula 1 down just a little bit further. That is, bringing it down a little bit further on some of these strands is going to help diffuse the line between the 2 formulas even more. So it's going to soften that when it's actually laying down in its natural fall position. And again, don't worry too much if that right at zone 1 kind of peeps out of that foil, since it's all the same color at zone 1. Bring it up and support it so they don't slide. Marry those two formulas together. Okay, now we're going to move on to this front triangle. And depending, which side you're more comfortable working on, you can just start from there. But I am going, since she's a little bit wider on this side of the triangle, I'm just going to work my way back like that. Starting from here, get her a little lower. And this section is going to kind of fall just slightly in front of her face, but when we're done with it, we can fold it out of our way. Now again, we want to make sure we work on a diagonal. So I'm going to start, if I started right here, that would be more horizontal. So I'm just going to kind of start my sectioning more towards this point. We'll be working right in front of her face, and the foils are going to be down in her face, but we'll be out of her way soon. We'll kind of fold the foils back away from her so she can see. And drop that. And you want to, since we are working right here, you just want to make sure you support that foil. Look it in, and make sure you keep on your diagonal right here. Lift it up to support it. And if you're comfortable with it, a foiling board would be good right about now. You can get a little bit more support from it rather than your hands.